Hello.
Hello. Now,
Hello.
if we're live, does that mean we're starting?
Yeah.
We're live, buddy. We're live.
I love it. I think we're missing Rey Mysterio, though. Am I right?
We'll be right back.
Or am I having to push this little? Let me put this little gallery.
We're missing Rey Mysterio and Bret Hart.
And Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler.
Am I not here?
King's there.
Oh, there's Jerry. Sorry, there's Jerry.
Here's
All right.
Ray ready. 619.
We're live, but unofficially starting live.
There he
Right
is.
here. There's Ray Ray.
Hey. Booyaka.
I'm waiting for the voice of God to say that we should start, but maybe I should go ahead and start.
You guys have been live.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started since we got everybody here. First of all, I want to thank all the fans out there that are tuning in. Man, you guys know how much you mean to us. And we're still trying to get Bret Hart on here. Are we working on that, by the way?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I want to make sure we don't leave him out because, you know, Bret's the one kind of, you know, leading the path of all of us being here. But it's just such an honor, seriously, first of all, guys, here in the room, to be here with all of you, to be in such a tough week that we have had. There's Bret. Thanks, Bret, for joining us. We've had a tough week. I'm going to talk about that. But first, I want to introduce each one of you. As you know, I'm Lillian Garcia, and luckily enough, I was with the WWE for 15 years. What a ride. Great ride. And what I love about everything is just the family bond that we've all created. First, from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. In his 20-plus year career, he was a 5-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion, a 2-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and in 2006 inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Big round of applause for Bret the Hitman Hart!
Yes.
Woo! Nice to have you, Bret.
Hey, everybody.
All right.
Nice panel.
Yeah, it's so great to all be here. From Cameron, North Carolina, this WWE star has had a ton of different ring names and has also competed in TNA as well as Ring of Honor and now AEW. A 14-time World Tag Team Champion. Please welcome Matt Hardy. Woo! Woo!
Guys and girls, delete them.
Don't delete us, Matt. Don't delete us. Born in Westchester County, New York, she began a professional fitness competition career in 2013 and went on to become a bodybuilding competitor the following year. Things I never knew about Mandy.
Really?
In 2015, she placed second in WWE competition Tough Enough, and after which she was signed to a contract with the WWE and joined the reality television show Total Divas as a main cast member for one season. Please welcome Mandy Rose.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Also a New Yorker, I should say, from Yonkers, New York. 2-time ECW champion, a 14-time WWE Hardcore champion, and in 2012, Dreamer started his own wrestling promotion called House of Hardcore. Please welcome Tommy Dreamer.
What up?
He's hardcore. He's hardcore.
I love the fact because there's some, you've got this hesitation on your line. It's like, he's hardcore. All right.
Like I live in the forest.
Yeah, I can see that. All the way from Memphis, Tennessee, he has held more recognizable championships than any professional wrestler in history. Prominent voice of Monday Night Raw as a legendary commentator, and in 2007 inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, it's Jerry the King Lawler.
Hello, everybody.
And last but not least, of course, born in Chula Vista, California, trained under Rey Mysterio Sr. and developed a high-flying style and the finishing move, the 619 kick to honor San Diego. Please welcome 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, Rey Mysterio.
Guys, thank you.
You know, those are some very short introductions, but this whole thing could have been filled up with the accolades that all of you guys have definitely developed throughout the years. I want to say congratulations because it's not an easy profession to be in, but let me tell you, and we know it, wrestlers, we do bond. We have a special feeling for each other and a special camaraderie and family. And like I said, it's been a very hard week with a lot of releases, a lot of furloughs, and then the loss of the legend Howard Finkel. I want to give any of you the platform right now if you would like to speak to anything that's happened this week.
I say we go Bret Hart, then Jerry Lawler. Come on, we got to pay our respect. We pay our dues.
Well, I think this is it's a really trying time for everybody. Unfortunately, this week has been a kind of a tough on despite all the problems we've got with the coronavirus and all that. We have to take the time sometimes to remember the guys we lose away, and we lost a great, really good soul in Howard Finkel this past week. And I know for me, just for me alone, and the memories I got with Howard Finkel go back to my very first day that I started in WWE, and all the times I can think of the excitement and the energy that he brought to me and and the intensity and the emotion in his voice. So many times when I won titles, lost titles, he's just one of those little pieces to the machine that I think all of us had some kind of connection. And to lose him this week was, I think, just one more blow for the wrestling industry. And it's been a tough year where we lost a lot of big names.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that and watching after, of course, we heard the really sad news about Howard. Everybody tuning into social media. It was good in one sense to see everybody's tributes to Howard, and everybody that knew Howard so well, that everybody that worked with him for all those years at the WWE, everybody was posting, special memories of him. And that was, it was satisfying in the fact that, it was so sad to lose Howard, but then to go back and memory, have all of those memories of Howard, and people were posting different pictures of Howard through the years. And somebody posted one that I didn't even remember doing, but I guess I had Howard on one of my early King's Courts when we were doing it from the Manhattan Center. And apparently it must have been his birthday or something. I smashed a birthday cake in Howard's face, and I didn't even remember that. But the great thing about Howard was I found this from the day I started there in 1993. And of course, Howard was already there. But I think everybody realized about Howard was he was such a genuine person, and he was so friendly and so helpful to everybody that started working there in the WWE, and he stayed that way throughout his entire career. I mean, if you ever needed to know anything, if you ever needed help with anything, Howard Finkel was the guy to go to, and he was just a great guy. And even though in the past few years, he had the onset, Tommy, of Alzheimer's, and Tommy, you're probably closer to Howard than anybody over these past few years. And it was, I lost my mother the same way to Alzheimer's, and it's so sad, especially when you're with the person, on a daily basis like you were, Tommy, to see the progression of that disease. And, I know Howard would come around. They would bring Howard around to some of the more recent events. And, you could just, your heart went out to him because you knew that he just really wasn't there towards the end. I mean, it was just not the same Howard. But thankfully, like I said, with social media and everything, everybody has great memories of Howard Finkel, and those memories will live on forever.
Yeah, with the releases, with the time that it is hard. But if you look at everybody on this panel, except for Mandy, we have all survived outside of the WWE. It will always be our legacy, and it has provided great memories as well as financial rewards. But wrestlers, we're like no others, and we thrive under any circumstances. And for these last 2 years, myself at 48 and 47, I did 206 shows just being an independent wrestler or working for AEW or Impact. We're all survivors, and we can adapt. WWE will be our legacy, and it'll be, for a lot of guys, great, but that's business. I just watched a documentary about Cal Ripken Jr., who was the greatest Oriole of all time. He was there, and his father was the manager, and he got fired while he was on the team because it was business. And everybody that I've reached out to, too, they understand the business. And things like this are awesome because we all followed our dreams, but you never realize how you affect others. And during the time when the world needs us, just for people taking time out to, we're helping others as well as helping ourselves, because it's great to see everybody. I haven't seen all these people in so long. So you never know how your life's work has affected others until you're able to see it from other people. So that's awesome. When it comes to Howard, yeah, I would visit Howard once a month because he lived about 2 hours from me. And his mind was going. He had a rare genetic disorder in his brain where his brain was shrinking, which meant it was kind of like King said, he was suffering dementia quicker. But the thing that got him all the time back was wrestling. And like, I'd walk in and he'd be looking at me and he'd start like hitting his head and he'd be like, am I dreaming? And I was like, what, Howard, you don't recognize me? And I go, from Yonkers, New York. And he'd go, Tommy Dreamer. And wrestling would kick him back into no matter what. And then like, even what King said, posting pictures on social media helped. And then it was somebody who pointed out on Howard's board from a picture that I just took for him, his medical need was, please put channel 43 on at 8 p.m. on Monday nights. Wrestling is on.
Wow.
And, you know, Howard couldn't operate a remote control or pick up the phone anymore, but that's all he wanted. And he was the #1 employee and he's the most loyal to the WWE. He had nobody, but he loved the wrestlers. We were his family, and the wrestling fans were everything to him. And that gave me great solace. And for what the WWE put up there on that video, I was crying, as my daughters would always say, happy tears, because I was like, man, Howard would have loved this, because we're all marks for ourselves. And that was a great piece that WWE did.
I wanted to throw in about Howard too. He was very influential in myself and my brother getting booked at WWE in the mid-90s before we were ever under a contract and we were just coming as extras. Howard would always go out of his way to try and hook us up and give us bookings. And we had this little thing we would say between one another. I would say to him, he'd say, okay, are you good for these dates? And I'd go, Howard, I'm good to go. And he would always hit me up and say, Matt, I'm just wanting to check. Are you good to go? His iconic voice. And that was always our joke. Every time we were around, until the last time I saw him, he would say, hey, Matt, is everything good to go? You know, so we owe Howard that. If it wasn't for Howard, he definitely was influential in the Hardy Boys making their way to the WWE.
Yeah, I will say, I don't know if you guys even know this, but my very first day on the job, I was told that I was going to be ring announcing that very night. And I remember Howard coming to me and I looked at him like, wait, what? You know, I, at that moment, wanted to sink into a hole because I had not been trained for that spot. And I looked at him and I was like, there's no way that I can go on Monday Night Raw, never have done this job. And now I'm supposed to step in your feet, in your shadow, in your everything. And he's like, you're going to do this and I'm going to help you. And that's exactly what he did. And if it wasn't for Howard, I would have been completely just a failure. But he set me up to win because he was that kind of person. And that takes a lot. When he could have been bitter at the fact that I was replacing him. But instead, he just embraced me with open arms and was there every step of the way. So I owe him a lot.
Very passionate about what he did for many years. And like Brett said, you know, we lost a really good soul. And I was truly blessed to have seen him last year. Like Tommy was saying that he was coming around and King was saying that he was coming around to the show. Just to be able to connect with him and to see a smile on his face. And like you said, he would bring back so many memories to him that would make him feel at home. But one thing that I keep that Howard struggled a lot with, he would always want me to help him roll the R in we managed to get that to work, but I do want to send my condolences to all his friends and all his family. We love him very, very much.
Well, with all that said, so let's get into this. First of all, I know we have some questions coming in and I do want to address that, but I want to talk about the fact, I mean, all of us are here trying to raise money. This is why we're on here, trying to get $1 million for Cameo Cares, for the relief charities that they have. And so guys, through tonight, all the money that you guys book for us from Cameos is going to go for that. So I definitely want to encourage that. Just go to cameo.com. Also, you can donate right now down below, I believe in the description. You can go ahead and donate. Like we said, it's been a rough week, but we're all here trying to make the best of everything that's happened in COVID-19 and how it's affecting us. I want to know from, I guess, Matt, you're now at AEW's, but you're performing in an empty arena. Jerry, you're announcing for an empty arena. Ray, Mandy, you guys are performing for empty arenas. Like how, Mandy, let's start with you. I want to hear from you. How's that been for you? What a transition.
Yeah, it's been quite the transition, obviously. Well, first of all, I want to say it's such an honor to be on a panel with so many legends. I feel like, a little out of place with all you guys, but it's an honor. And but going back to that, it's been a challenge for sure. And for me, not being in the business very long, and every day is always something new and challenging. It's definitely been a challenge for me, but it's been fun because I've been in a really great storyline right now, and it's also been every time we go, we're expecting something different, and I don't know what I'm going to feel when I'm out there without any fans, because we're so used to feeding off of our fans and the interaction. But so far I've had great experiences, especially last night on SmackDown with our segment with Sonya Deville and Dolph Ziggler and Otis, and we got really great feedback from that, and getting that great feedback, especially not having the fan interaction, did really mean a lot. And it's been good so far, and I know it's been a challenge for everyone. So,
Matt, you want to speak to that? How it's been now? You left WWE, you went to AEW. First of all, why did you feel the need for that transition? And how's it been now? You make a big entrance and there's no one there.
It's been great. I have nothing but the best of things to say about the people at AEW. And even the way it's been during this, they took a few weeks off before they were going to start resuming their tapings. They taped a whole bunch at one time. It was very weird because my big debut was in an empty arena, in this big arena in Jacksonville. And I think being in these empty arenas more than anything else is a very stark reminder of how important the crowd is. It's tough to go out there not feeding off anyone, not interacting with anyone, and it just shows once again, and it will forever be reinforced. The crowd is like a part of the show. They are so important. I mean, the crowd makes everything so much better. Whenever you're not feeding off their emotion and their passion, it just makes everything a lot tougher. But being pros, that's what we do. We go out there and we perform because we're performing for the viewers that are watching on television.
Ray, were you quarantined?
I was quarantined right before the Mania taping, and not necessarily because I had symptoms of the virus, but because I started to feel that I was coming down with the cold. I had the sniffles and I had chills on my body, and for the safety of my colleagues, WWE requested that I stay home and not put anybody at risk. So this happened on a Friday night. I was supposed to leave Sunday, and they wanted me to update them as the day moved on before I left. Saturday, I still felt the same. Sunday, a bit worse. And so it was a decision that they had made for me to stay, which was, at the end of the day, a good decision. I definitely didn't pick up any symptoms again from the virus. And throughout the rest of the week, I started feeling better. But God forbid something would happen, and my immune system was probably on low during that time, so it could have been easier for me to pick the virus up traveling.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you're safe for sure from that. I know you're back now, right?
Yes, I'm back. I was just at TV last week, and I'm moving forward from this point on. Matt said, the fans are 100% part of our production, part of what we do. We feed off of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we've all been on the same boat where we're in an arena where there's a full crowd, but the crowd is completely silent. It's very hard to get them up on their feet and to get them to applaud or to just get into the matches. And that reminds me of what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
But with the difference that we are in front of an empty arena, and the focus is no longer the person in the front row, maybe something going on outside of the ring. The focus is completely 100% on the two wrestlers and the referee that are doing their work. So I feel like that shows a side of tension from all of us because we've never been there. But at the same time, we have to remember that we are doing this for our fans that are at home, that are staying safe, and that we want to keep them entertained through these hard times.
Yeah.
And Lillian, like to me, when you're playing football, baseball, hockey, you're always in front of like your family or your friends. But for all of us, you know, we all started training and having simulated matches against nobody. You know, Bret Hart probably wrestling in the dungeon in front of his father. And the best part about all of this is that stars and legends are able to connect with people. And if you notice the difference where we're breaking the fourth wall, where we're talking to the people, that's old school. And, you know, there's an old saying, old school will never die. And the great talents are really, really stepping up in WWE, AEW. I just drove literally 15 hours to Tennessee and recorded, wrestled, agented, and wrote 2 months of Impact Wrestling. And it's going to start airing this week. And we did that all in 3 days. And the situation is different, but, you know, the stars will always shine. You know, like Brett and Jerry, they've wrestled in front of like 2-3 people probably, and still wrestlers go out there and work if it's sold out WrestleMania or it's no fans WrestleMania. Like I always say, wrestlers adapt, and that's why I always have so much respect for them. Yeah.
Brett, as a matter of fact, I mean, can you remember a time in the entire time that you were wrestling, anything like this happening so impactful?
No, nothing close, nothing in my lifetime has ever compared with this time. But, you know, my thoughts about, you know, the work, trying to wrestle without a crowd, I realized because I watched UFC, and I remember watching it with no crowd, and I thought the same thing, this can be really hard. But in watching that, I realized that, you know, eventually you're going to focus on the two wrestlers. And it's actually a really good time for wrestlers to show it's all about the wrestling. It's not about the promos and the crowds and stuff. And all you got to do is, I was thinking I would probably flourish in this kind of environment because I was always a good, solid, realistic kind of wrestler. So I could make the wrestling, I could maybe get you to focus on the wrestling. And I think that's why I'm happy with what I've seen in the wrestling matches. I know the 2-night WrestleMania. I thought it was really good, and I thought the guys worked really hard. And I thought all things considered, it was an exceptionally well done, memorable 2 nights of wrestling. And I thought, you know, it's like the art. It's all about the art form and the skill of each wrestler. And you know, it'll come down to that in the end. And like Dreamer said, it's like great wrestling never dies. Old school wrestling never die. Always go down to basics, and you know, you can still work a headlock and make people believe. And it's not all about jumping and leaping and twirling around like ballerinas. And I think it's a good lesson for everyone today that don't forget where wrestling came from. I'd always put a little bit on the straight side so people, you know, there's still that question mark about it. But if you can't wrestle today with no crowd, I think it's because you're too much of a showman. The wrestlers that are going to shine and have shined so far with no crowd are showing that it's about the wrestling. Mm-hmm. And that credit to the wrestlers in the business.
Very cool. All right, I want to go ahead and take some questions from the fans because we were talking about the fans and how important they are, we definitely want to bring them in here. First of all, let's see. One of them says, it's a question for anyone. Who was your favorite opponent in the ring? So Jerry, let's start with you because you've done a lot of commentary, but you've done a lot of wrestling through the years.
Yeah, only about 50 years worth.
You know,
well, a couple of my favorites of all time are right here on this panel with me. Tommy Dreamer. I've loved to work with Tommy Dreamer, but of course, Bret the Hitman Hart. When anybody asked me, you know, from the time I started in the WWE, I guess my most noteworthy opponent and the one that had the biggest, I start to say feud. We're not supposed to say feuds. The biggest rivalry with was Bret, and so he was one of my all-time favorites. in the modern era. Of course, I mean, I get guys like from the Memphis time, Bill Superstar Dundee, Handsome Jimmy Valiant. One of my all-time favorite champions was Nick Bockwinkel, the guy that just doesn't get a lot of recognition, but he was one of the greatest of all time. And of course, Terry Funk. I mean, my career has stretched so long and so far back. I can name people that I still, when I say it myself, I still can't believe that I actually had matches with. I had a tag team match in Memphis when I was first getting started against Lou Thez and Pat O'Connor, and the special referee was Jersey Joe Walcott, who was an old time world championship boxer. So that's how far I go back with with wrestling, and I've wrestled just about at one time or other every single wrestler that's come along since then. All the way from back to the Lou Thez guys and up until today's guys, Kevin Owens and all the different guys today. So, but I can honestly say that Bret Hart right there. I told everybody the biggest check I ever got in the wrestling business at one time was with Bret Hart. I mean, I still have a picture of it framed on my wall when we had the Kiss My Foot match at at one of the pay-per-views back in the day. I couldn't believe anybody would get paid that much money for doing something that was so much fun. Yeah, so Bret was one of the big ones for me.
Wow, that's awesome. Bret, why don't we go to you? By the way, I can't believe this half hour has gone so fast, but I'm getting like a 2-minute warning here. So I want to try to get to everybody though. What has been your favorite opponent?
My favorite opponent probably was Mr. Perfect. I mean, he was so much fun to work with, and he was just always such a total pro, and he was always so safe and so solid and realistic, and he was one of those guys that was fun to work with. And when you came back every night, you felt good, and you felt like you really had a great match. And I felt like that with Kurt, and I had so much fun with him every night. I would have to say will always be my favorite. Probably him or my brother Owen. Owen was a lot of fun to work with too. A lot of funny little humor things that nobody ever realized that he's saying something funny to you in the ring, and just a great. Every time you came back, it was like such a fun night just to go in there and wrestle. And get paid for it.
That's awesome. Ray, what about you?
I have to pick 3 of them throughout my 3 different phases in my career. In Mexico, Psychosis, without a doubt, because my matches with him were the matches that put me on the map for the first time ever. During my WCW years, Dean Malenko, who I learned so much from, was such a great mentor to me. And in WWE, Eddie Guerrero, I picked up so much from Eddie, and he's just such a great teacher without even wanting to do it. It was just his natural gift, and not only me, but he helped many. So yeah, I'd have to go with those 3.
Great choices. All right, Matt Hardy, what about you?
I would say probably overall, myself and my brother, we had so many great tag team matches with Edge and Christian. We had the best chemistry with those guys. Really enjoyed that. Obviously, I worked with Edge so many times. I like wrestling my brother a lot too. And as we got older, I think I became more comfortable with it. And, speaking on what Bret was talking about earlier, we were very inspired by the Bret and Owen match, WrestleMania 10, and we wanted to emulate that down the road. So that's cool that we got a WrestleMania moment and had WrestleMania 25. And Ray too. I loved wrestling with Ray. He mentioned Eddie Guerrero. Eddie was one of a kind too. So many great guys.
That is so much talent. So much talent. All right, Mandy, you're from the current roster now. Who's your favorite?
I'd have to go with Asuka. Asuka just has a certain type of energy in the ring, especially considering all of her experience. And, I don't compare to that much experience as Asuka, but every time I was in the ring with her, she just brought this type of energy that just made me want to just compete better and just improve. And, she helped me with a lot of, certain NXT matches we had in developmental. So, yeah, I'd have to go with Asuka.
Awesome. All right, Tommy, you're going to wrap this up for us because they're telling me we got to go, which they should have given us an hour. Come on.
Yeah, right.
Especially wrestlers. One, if we want to raise the most money, Otis should be dancing in a thong in the back of your apartment, Mandy, because it's still real to me, damn it.
Agreed.
For me, I started in 1989, so that's 5 decades. I'm still wrestling. This has been my dream since I'm 9 years old. Raven, Jerry Lawler, Matt Hardy. I could list every single match. I'm living my dream, and now I get to wrestle a younger generation. I wrestle Bob Orton, Randy Orton, Stupid Christian, Edge, Dudley's, you name it. I'm still living my dream, and I'm still happy to do it. I will never wrestle Rey Mysterio because he's always a good guy, and so am I. So 619, we fight for good. Me, you, and Ricky Steamboat.
Always. Always.
All right. Well, talking about fighting for good, this is why we're here. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I know this is a really quick half hour, but if you want to order personal cameos from us, the money is going to go to COVID-19, the relief charities for Cameo Cares. So please go ahead, donate. While this is going on, and through tonight, everything that's booked is going to be going to these relief funds. So all you have to do is go to cameo.com and you will find our individual pages there that you can order. And to all of you here, I just want to say, seriously, I love you dearly. Thank you for everything that you have even supported in my life and in my career and made me love wrestling even more. I respect each and every one of you so much. So thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. We love you too.
Everyone.
Love you guys.
Thanks.
Love you all.
Stay safe.
All right,
Yeah.
now we're going to go on to the next panel. We've got Love is Blind. Wow, I absolutely love the show. So you guys stick around because the cast of Love is Blind is next. You guys.
Elite.
Mwah.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye, guys.